welcome to The Real Deal, where real estate meets real life. I am your host, Ryan Hatcher, and this is my co-host today, the man, the myth, the legend, Randy Dix.
Hello, everybody.
And today we have, today's episode 9, right?
Right.
Episode 9, and we have a special guest today, Mr. Paul Stratton from Stratton Inspections. Welcome, sir.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
So I've been excited to talk to you on here about inspections, and this is something that I think a lot of people have lots of questions about that we can answer today. But first, why don't you kick it off by telling us about you, how you got into this business, and tell us about your team.
All right. So my name is Paul Stratton, the owner of Stratton Inspection Services, and it is awesome to be here. I actually got started in 2008 when things weren't going so well, and it was a tough market back then. A lot tougher than what it is right now. And it's actually started up in Utah. My background's electrical, so I was an electrician by trade before that. But getting started in 2008, I was also raising my kids full time, so it was kind of tough. And I was lucky to get one a week or one a month.
What made you come into this business?
You know what? I've always liked real estate. Mm-hmm. And there's so many avenues in real estate you can go down. Mm-hmm. And I thought with my background with construction, and I was also a owner of a commercial landscape company, I thought, you know what, as a side gig up in Utah, I'll do home inspections. So I got certified up there to do home inspections and started going really well. And that's kind of why I decided to get into home inspections. And ended up moving here and had to get recertified and start all over again. But biggest blessing in my life, because I got to raise my kids and do home inspections and build a business in a tough market.
Yeah.
And it really paid off. And I'm glad I stuck with it.
Can I ask what did you do to build your business? Any particular kind of marketing yourself that worked?
Yeah. So my dad always said, forget yourself and go to work. And so I just thought to myself, you know what, forget about the problems you're having and just go to work and start going to, it's funny, I went to happy hours and just got to know real estate agents. And that was kind of the only time I could go, because during the day I was either doing small electrical jobs or doing small landscaping jobs and taking my kids to school. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of how I got it going. And once I was able to get up to 8 inspections a week, which took some time, it took till about 2010, I was able to ditch landscaping completely and electrical and focus solely on home inspections.
And you were doing it solo?
Solo, yeah. Yeah, so it was really, it really worked out because, like I said, I was able to manage my kids and work at the same time, and it was a perfect industry for me. And I've always loved real estate. I always admire what you guys do, because you guys are working weekends, Sundays, writing contracts at night. And so it was just a good fit for me.
That's cool. Well, it's funny you say happy hour, because I had actually seen you on social media quite a bit, and your team has grown. How many people do you have in your team now?
I've got total, including office staff, 15.
Okay, yeah. So it's a pretty big team.
Good size.
Yeah. And so I had seen a lot of your Instagram stuff in particular, and I thought, I'd like to get to know them someday. But we had 2 inspectors that we used regularly, so I didn't have a need to. Well, we went to a Real Producers Happy Hour, and I saw you talking to somebody. I told Janine, we've got to talk to him, and it was awesome. And that's how we met.
It's funny, because honestly, that was the highlight of my night that night, when you and Janine pulled me aside and said, hey, we want to talk to you, Paul.
That's cool.
And I got to know you guys. I'm like, holy crap, this is an awesome team. I drew the lottery right here. So I felt really, really lucky to get to know you guys that night.
Yeah. So a good lesson to realtors and inspectors: go to happy hours.
Right. Go to happy hours and these events.
He and I, in particular, not super pumped about going to big events like that. But there is benefit, and that's networking, is learning or meeting new people
and building relationships. I think building relationships is the biggest thing.
Absolutely.
And when you have a good relationship like we do, it just makes our job so much easier.
And this type of work stems from a relationship.
Yes.
And then it grows from there. So no question about it. Going to these events pays off.
Well, absolutely. And you guys are such an important role for us when we represent buyers, that we need somebody that we trust, because And this is really important from an inspector, or from a standpoint of the realtor who is working with the inspector. It's kind of like a doctor. We need a doctor that knows their stuff, but that can communicate it in a way that's not going to scare the living daylights out of people, or it's just going to be the right amount of information, because most of the time you're covering everything that could go wrong or is a problem with the house, but only about this much of it, 10% of it, is what they really need to focus on, right?
Right.
Usually.
Right.
So, not scaring them to death, because that is often what happens.
Yeah, communication is everything. And if we're, trusting each other as agents and home inspectors, boy, we can really go far, because the client's going to trust that whole process.
Yes.
And they're going to trust you guys as agents, knowing that you got the right people in place to better serve your clients. Because if we're both on the same page, the ultimate person that matters is the client. And so, yeah, that whole trust and communication is important.
Well, one of my favorite parts of the home buying process is to meet with the buyers at the home for that last hour of the inspection window, where you're there and going to provide basically details, an overview of what you've just found during the inspection. And how many inspections have you gone to in your career?
Jeez, thousands.
Thousands,
Right?
Mine's in the hundreds. It has to be in the hundreds. And I love it because I learn something every day.
Right.
It's cool.
And we learn from you guys too. Like I say, I have a big admiration for what you guys do. And it's nice when you all are at the walkthrough with us, because it just makes it go so much smoother when you guys have been in the business for so long, and we can just bounce stuff off each other and really service your client to the best.
Right.
And where our role comes in is we can help. You're going to say, okay, this is a problem. This is something to think about, but you can't really give your opinion on what you would do necessarily.
No, we rely on you guys for that.
So that's where we can come in and kind of translate maybe. So this is something we see all the time. It's not a huge deal, but I would certainly ask for this, and so that's cool. I was thinking about what's one of the craziest things, or a couple of the craziest things you've ever seen on inspections.
There's a lot.
Give me a few that come to mind.
I share this not to scare any buyer or anybody like that, but things, we see a lot of stuff, and you guys are in homes every day. You see a lot of stuff. Real quick, I have several stories I could share. One of them, we did a sewer scope. We do sewer scope inspections as well, where we're taking a picture of the sewer line.
Is that standard operating procedure? Sewer scope, or is that something that needs to be
standard
requested?
as per the home inspection industry.
Oh, is that right?
But we add that as another service that we
Okay.
provide, because we think it's important that
Yeah.
they know because as home inspectors, we can't see down into the sewer
Right.
line.
Yeah.
But if we
Snake it.
Can send a
snake
scope
it
down
and
there,
scope it,
right?
then we can really tell you, hey, you got some roots in the line, or your line looks good.
Yeah. In the Midwest, it's very common because the
Right.
tree roots
Oh,
grow
yeah.
right into them.
Yeah, and you can grind them out, but they'll still grow. And so we were doing this sewer scope, and we came to a dead end. We thought it was the city main, but our camera couldn't get around this corner. And we saw some gravel in there, so we called it out. Hey, you got some gravel in the line. Something's going on here. We don't know what it is because we can't get around that corner, but you need to get it further evaluated. And as inspectors, like a general doctor, we send you to a surgeon or the professional, like a plumber. And so they were grateful, because they're like, well, we want to make sure the line's good. Something's not right. The inspector can't see. So they called the plumber out there, and he ran into the same problem. And so they decided to dig it up.
Yeah.
And they dug it up. They only had to dig like 2 feet down before they came across a 5-gallon bucket filled with gravel with holes drilled in it. So they ran a new sewer line and discharged it into a 5-gallon septic tank and didn't tap it into the city, because that would require a permit by the city.
wow.
And so they were so thankful, because it cost $15,000 to fix that,
Wow.
because they had to get a permit. They had to tap into the city line and dig up the road,
Wow.
And so that was a huge find.
Wow.
And a great benefit to the buyer. They did buy the home because the seller fixed it. But the seller wasn't aware of that either. They hired a contractor to do the job, and the contractor didn't do the job right, unbeknownst to the seller.
Oh, wow.
So, it's just some one of those things that happened, and the seller was not happy.
I'll tell you an interesting story, and you may have already heard this, Ryan. Many years ago, when I was in the Los Angeles area selling homes, we had a house inspected, and it was a vacant house. It was the owners had it as a rental. When the tenants moved out, they left it vacant. We sold it, had it inspected, and the inspector noticed roof repairs. And so just before, a week or so before the close of escrow, a roofer came out to make those repairs. And one of the things that he did was to use one of those acetylene torches, you know, the little
Oh, yeah.
canisters of fire.
Right.
And I guess he was molding something around some of the vent pipes. Does that make sense?
The roofer?
Yes.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And somehow the hot tar dripped through into the attic, and it was flaming. Well, the morning after the roofer did those repairs, I got a call from the fire department, and it was like 6 a.m, and they said, "You need to get over here. Your house is on fire." And I thought, this is some kind of a joke. But sure enough, I go there. I got out of bed, took a quick shower, ran over there. The whole neighborhood is blocked off, multiple fire trucks there, completely destroyed the house.
Wow.
Right.
Didn't burn it down, but there was so much smoke damage and water damage that it was completely destroyed. The moral of or not the moral of the story, but what ended up happening was the buyer stuck in the deal. We just had to extend the escrow out. The insurance settled, redid the interior, and it ended up closing.
I bet they were pumped.
Yeah, right, because now they still paid whatever the price was they paid for the house.
And they got to remodel
they
the
got
house.
a completely new interior.
That's cool.
I'm glad you shared that because in this process, most things in real estate, everything is negotiable.
Yeah.
And for the most part, everything is fixable. And so the deal still went through.
Yep.
And we try to reiterate that to the client with you guys there because we want them to know most things are fixable or negotiable on your guys' side. And so it shouldn't be a scare tactic or, oh, crap, you know. It should be educational and, okay, where do we go from here?
Yeah. Well, and what typically happens is if the house isn't really dialed in,
Right.
the buyers tend to overestimate what it's going to cost to actually get it fixed or to get it where they want it.
Right.
Even a simple paint job that may cost $2,000 in their mind is $8,000 or $10,000.
Right.
Right.
And so that can be a really big issue. You talked about scoping for lines. What other types of inspections do you do?
So we do quite a bit. Obviously, homes. We do home inspections. We do commercial inspections, commercial properties, multi-unit properties. These are huge for investors because if you have a commercial or a multi-unit property with 20 AC units on it, and 10 of them are 15 to 20 years old, you can calculate, okay, this is how much it's going to cost us to replace these, and then the other ones are going to be up and coming as well. So it's really beneficial to them on that. New builds are huge, popular, very popular. No home is perfect. So the builder may be a great builder, but he's only as good as his contractors. And where they're having a city inspector come in and look for more code deficiencies, we're looking for blatant defects. We really have that house prior to drywall under a microscope. We're looking at electrical staples too tight that are biting into the sheathing of the cable. We're looking for nails in sewer lines. We're looking at framing issues, squared up doors, windows, flashing issues, all of that stuff prior to drywall. We can actually see the skeleton of the house.
It truly serves the buyer's best interest
Buyers
to make
and
that
the builder.
investment
And the builder.
and get it done, during the process of buying it.
Right.
So let's talk about the different inspections, the different stages of that new build. So you do dry or framing.
So we do a pre-slab, actually.
Okay.
We'll do a pre-slab. If it's post-tension slab, we're looking at all them tension cables. We're looking at risers, sewer risers, if they're too close to the edge of the concrete and they're going to blast through the stem wall. We're looking at all that stuff prior to concrete, prior to pour. And then the pre-dry wall, I think, is one of the most important ones because we can also look at the slab and inside the walls. And
the sticks are up.
HVAC.
And they've hardwired everything in, or the
rough
plumbing's
mechanical,
in.
rough
Okay.
plumbing, rough electrical.
Okay.
Yep, we can look at all of that because it's all exposed.
Yep.
So it's a great opportunity to look at it. Is the ductwork installed right? Is the plumbing installed right? All of that stuff, electrical. We can really look at it and see, what's going on. And like I say, builders are doing a great job, but most of them, it's just, we're going to catch things. And the builders come to find out that they're appreciative of it because they can fix it before drywall.
Yeah.
So they're not having to go back out and cut drywall and all that.
Good.
So it's been a good thing.
And then obviously one at the end when it's done.
Yep, and a final. Yep. Warranty inspections, when their 1-year warranty comes up, we're going back out and inspecting that so that they can give that punch list to the builder and he can come out and warranty these items that he has under warranty. That's a big one. Sewer scopes. We do mold inspections as well. And so that's a big one, especially if there's major moisture intrusion or water damage. That's been a good one.
How often do you see mold inspections here in Arizona?
You know what? Not as common as you'd think. I mean, I think more common is, Portland, Washington, those places, But we're still seeing mold, I would say. And we've just started mold in the last year. I'd say our mold inspections are 10-15% of our inspections.
Really?
Maybe
Wow.
10%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What are some common issues you see in your inspections that homeowners could be aware of? Or buyers?
I'm glad you asked this, because these are things that you guys or the home buyer can look for as well. So look at your eaves, see if there's moisture stains or moisture damage on the eaves from default roofing. Look at your water shutoff valve and your hose bibs to see if there's leaks. Look under the sink, see if there's leaks under the sinks. All these little tiny things that you can, as you're walking through the home, can pick out that fast, Because if you have some moisture stains on an eave, or if you have some electrical problems, and it's, say, an FHA loan or a VA loan, these are things that will need to be fixed in order for the loan to go through.
And that can take some time.
Even a moisture stain, even if it's fixed, they'll need to fix that.
And that can take some time, which could prolong your closing too.
And the appraiser will point those things out
Yeah, the
on an
appraiser-
FHA or VA.
Exactly.
So you got to be real careful there.
Termites are a big common thing, and termites aren't that aggressive here, but that comes up quite a
They're
bit.
different.
They're
You
different,
know, speaking of termites, for those of you who don't know, I sold real estate in California for 27 years before coming out here. And every property that I sold, probably 7 out of 10 houses I sold required a tent. And you're talking thousands of dollars for that, where they gas the entire interior of the house. Out here in Arizona, that's obviously not a problem, because never once has anything been remotely close to requiring a tent. If anything, a couple $100 worth of treatment out here, unlike California, was always in the thousands, always.
Different type of termites.
Yeah.
These are subterranean.
Subterranean termites. They're present. They're almost on every home we inspect, or they have been or will be.
Yeah, the cliche is it's not if, it's when,
when,
you have them.
Just like death and taxes. Yeah.
So the main
Sure
thing,
thing.
So the main thing that we tell people, correct me if I'm wrong, is every 3 to 5 years, just have it checked. And if you see the tubes, get somebody out there.
Yeah, that's. I'm glad you brought that up, because you guys are actually showing the clients, hey, look for this.
Yeah.
You guys are educating your clients on what to look for already. And these subterranean termites, they can do damage over time, but they don't do a lot of damage in a short amount of time.
Yeah, it's my understanding they don't actually stay in the wood. They just eat and then they go back.
They go back down
ground.
through their tunnel to the ground. Yeah.
Whereas termites in other places in the country, they get up in the framing and
They're
they
flying.
they
They're
eat it
flying
up,
in, and
right.
they're doing some damage. Yeah.
So
good.
now, excuse me, when we employ you for an inspection, you then have a separate termite company come out to do their, you contract with one, is that correct?
Absolutely. I mean, there are home inspectors that will do termite inspections as well. We prefer to let the termite specialists do that.
Stay in your lane.
We stay in our lane, even though we do look for termites, because I think we should. It's nice to have a termite inspector there that can find the pinholes in the ceiling and determine if that's termites or not, see if they're active or not, things like that.
So a common question buyers have is, what am I going to have to pay for up front? And the inspection, which is usually $350 to $500 for a normal house here, that goes. The buyer pays that directly to the inspector once the inspection is done, and then you get the report. And then the same with the termite inspection. That's usually around $55 to $75.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, and we usually send those reports together. And so they'll pay for the home inspection, or if there's a pool, they'll include the pool inspection as well, because that's a separate inspection. But we're organizing it all, and we're just basically sending them all the reports at the same time.
Yep. I'm to the point now where I don't ask the buyer. I say, this is what's going to happen, because you need to have it looked at.
That's a good agent.
No question about it.
And they say, okay,
Yeah, they trust you.
you want to get it checked. There's just no doubt about it. Because you never know how long it's been since the seller has had termites checked. Scorpions, it's another one.
Scorpion's another one. Welcome to the desert. I've got them at my home,
We found one in our house, our brand new build.
You did?
We did. Kara wanted to burn it down. But that's the only one. So, and I've looked many times at night in Arizona, it's black lights. So you go out
Yeah.
and scorpion hunt.
Kids
Look
love
around.
it.
Yeah, never found another one. So hopefully that's the
good.
one. What are some great home maintenance tips that will prevent red flags during an inspection? So somebody who's getting ready to sell their house or they're thinking about it, what are some things they need to be doing?
One thing that's nice is you're talking like a seller. What can a seller do
Right.
prior to the inspection? One thing that's nice for us to see is that they've had the unit serviced, the AC unit serviced. And they got that invoice and that sheet right on the kitchen counter.
Right.
So we can say, hey, they've had it serviced. It is working great today. AC service, making sure their filters are changed, little things like that. Making sure the grade around the house is sloping away and that trees aren't overhanging the roof line and destroying the roof.
Right.
Yes,
These little
inspectors
things.
inspectors hate foliage touching the house.
Right.
Because it's a highway for rodents and insects to get to your house.
Roof rats
Right.
or damage to the building, or they got a drip system right next to the foundation because you have a plant right next to it.
We see that a lot on the block walls surrounding the house.
Yes.
Is that efflorescence.
Yeah,
And
Eats 'em
eventually it just eats away at the cinder block.
absolutely. The wall or the stem wall, the block wall or the stem wall. Yeah. So it's very important that they make sure grade is proper.
Grading is critical. It's
And-
subtle to the eye, but
Right.
it is of great importance in maintaining that home.
It is, and it's these little things, especially on an FHA or a VA
Right.
loan, that can hold up the loan. Little
Right.
things like that, but they're very easily fixable. And so we like to really educate your client and not use a scare tactic. I think the more you talk about something, the more scared they get.
Yeah.
But we like to educate them on not just stuff we found in the home, but how to operate the home. Where's your main breaker at? Where's your main water shutoff at? That way they attach themselves with the home and they really, okay, this is where that's at. He talked about this in his walkthrough. And it's really a good educational thing.
So AC unit, at least once a year to have somebody out there to just service it, right?
Yeah, once or twice a year,
Yeah.
spring and fall.
Even better, twice a year, right?
Yeah, because in the fall, just prior to fall, we're having monsoon, and then your condensate drain line is running like crazy, and that gets clogged real easy. So if they can service that as well, to avoid any condensate from dripping inside the attic or the pan,
And would they blow that line out from?
blow it out,
Okay.
and clean
sure
it
it's
out. Yeah,
clear.
And then your roof.
Roof is a big one too.
Yes.
So having somebody walk that once a year at least?
Yeah.
Once
Yep,
every
have
other year?
somebody walk it every other year, depending on the age. If it's 10 years or less, I think you're pretty good. But roofs around here typically last between 20 and 30 years. The underlayment,
That's what goes.
that's what goes.
Do they reuse those tiles when the underlayment goes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. They'll reuse those and then replace the ones that are
Yes.
broken or that they've broken.
So I tell people often, every single house I've ever sold has at least 1 to 10 broken tiles.
Right.
Yep. Every home.
And the
So-
mortar separation from
Mortar
the vents.
separation. Yep. Cracking around or improper flashing around the sewer vents. Things
Or
like
it just
that.
deteriorates over time.
Yep.
And for us, it's good to upfront let the buyer know. Now, this is what we're going to probably experience with regards to that roof. And it just kind of takes the sting out of it if they hear it from us and then they hear it
Yep.
in your report,
Right.
because they were told about it up front.
They were prepared.
Right.
Yeah. They weren't just,
Right.
Okay.
blindsided by it. Another big thing is flat roofs. Flat
Yeah.
roofs are huge.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, especially right after a rainstorm, we use thermal imaging as well. So we can actually thermal image the inside ceiling, even though there's no moisture stain there at that point, and it rained the night before. It doesn't mean there's not a leak. So we can take that thermal image camera and shoot that ceiling and see if there's any leakage going on, either from the roof or under the bathrooms if it's a 2-story, things like that. So thermal imaging is huge for us.
Big deal.
Good deal. Well, we're often asked by sellers who are getting ready to list their home, do I need to do an inspection before I list the home? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a great idea. I think it puts you ahead of the game. I think it preps you. It's kind of doing their due diligence. And I think when the buyer knows that the seller did a home inspection, they feel a little more comfortable too. Like, hey, these guys are really forthright. They're disclosing everything that their home inspector found. And I think it just puts everybody at ease.
It's a good point.
And it gives the seller an opportunity to fix little things as well.
I think it's a very smart move to do that. Yes, and it's an investment on that seller's part. But again, it's just one more component that makes that house much more attractive in terms of resale. And then what we would do is communicate in the remarks that, hey, we had the house inspected by Stratton Home Inspectors, and in the documents tab is going to be the inspection report. They're glad to take it and use it to their benefit. In this way, then they don't have to spend that money, and ideally we would have gotten whatever issues were discovered corrected. And so it's a smart thing to do.
It's transparency, that's for sure.
Gives everybody that peace of mind, sellers and buyers.
Yeah,
and
great. Great point.
Right.
Well, is there anything else you'd want to share before we get to our speed round of questions?
Oh, I don't know what your speed round of questions are, but what do home inspectors inspect? Is that one of your questions?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's important for people to realize that, there's these sitcoms on TV that's like Homes Inspections, which I love to watch, but they're able to open up walls and move furniture.
Yeah.
As a home inspector and our standards in Arizona, we're not really capable of opening up walls. It's not our home. We're not taking cover plates off of switches. We're not moving furniture, but we do the best we can, especially with the technology we have today with thermal imaging, droning. If we can't get on a roof, we drone the roof. Sprinkler systems come up quite a bit. Hey, do you guys inspect sprinkler systems? Actually, we don't, but we do. So I let my guys know, hey, we want to operate any sprinkler system we feel safe to operate without water staying on. And so we try to at least turn the sprinkler system on, look in the valve box, see if there's any leaks going on, because I think in our walkthrough, clients appreciate that and they want to know if they got some major sprinkler issues. And so even though sprinkler systems and security systems and things like that aren't included in our inspection, we do the best we can to see everything we can. But in our inspection goes as far as, when we do find things, we do recommend a licensed professional.
And you don't test washer, dryer?
Right. Actually, I'll turn on the dryer. I'll
do?
check it out. The washer, we've learned a big lesson. Doing 60 to 90 inspections a week, once in a blue moon, a washer drain will pop off. Arizona standards tell you not to operate these things because we will flood a laundry room, and we've done that several times.
Okay.
So then we're having to replace flooring and molding, and it's our problem. We've lost so much money doing that. So we don't operate washers. Same with the valves under the sinks. Those are so finicky and they'll leak if you turn them a lot sometimes. And so we don't turn those valves underneath the sinks for that purpose.
Yeah, some of them are old and they don't even shut off.
Yeah. If there's happens to be a leak because we turned it, we're forking out the money to fix it. Right.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Well,
you ready to do
let's
this?
go to the speed round.
All right.
This is the final section.
I start.
Okay.
Do you have any pets?
I do.
What do you have?
I have 2 horses and 2 dogs.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's a horse guy.
Right?
Have you read any intriguing books lately?
I have, and I've read Atomic Habits, which was awesome.
That's a great one.
What is it?
Atomic Habits.
Oh, Atomic Habits.
Yeah, how to create good habits and how
beautiful.
to make bad habits easy to get rid of.
Oh, nice.
I'm
nice.
about halfway through that on
yeah?
Audible.
No
yeah.
way.
It's
That's
an
very
awesome
good.
book. Yeah.
How do you manage stress?
Ooh.
So you're a business owner. What do you do?
You know what? For me, I like horses. I rope, and so I either go roping or I go to a movie with my kids.
Oh, nice.
But usually I like to be outdoors, and so I'll go rope.
Get
Nice.
outside.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's the best concert you've ever been to?
Garth Brooks.
Same here.
What is the most helpful thing that you own? Don't quite.
The most helpful thing that I own.
Yeah. Like.
What
That
comes
could
to
either
mind?
be my
Odd
phone or my truck.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Or your computer.
Yeah.
Or a computer.
Or your
Yeah.
computer.
Where do you see yourself living when you retire?
I see myself living on a small ranch and just taking care of that and being with my family.
Beautiful. And how do you strive to improve?
For one, being around you all every day, it helps me. I learn a lot from being around you agents, especially you agents that have been in it for a long time. And so I watch good habits and try to incorporate them in my own life, and try to also watch people's bad habits and
avoid those.
Do I have those? If I do, I need to get rid of those.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I'm a people watcher. So that's kind of
That's good. How would you title this chapter in your life?
This chapter in my life is a great chapter. I've been through some tough stuff, but I'd do it all over again because it's where I'm at today. And I'm happy. I'm engaged. I've got wonderful kids and bonus kids, and my business with the people I work with. I couldn't ask for a better team of inspectors. Like they're really the Stratton team. You know, I'm only good by myself, but with them, we're great. And so they've really changed my life as far as the team that I've been able to put together, because they're really phenomenal.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
And who knows you the best?
I would say my siblings probably know me the best.
Okay.
Yeah. I've got 9 brothers and sisters.
Really?
Yeah.
So there are 10 of you.
Wow.
There's 10 of us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where do you?
I'm the baby.
Really?
I'm the last one. Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
And
That's
you'd think
cool.
the baby was the spoiled one.
Right.
But with 9 brothers and sisters, there's nothing left by the time I came
Right.
along. Yeah.
They're wore out.
Except they're beating me up, you
Yeah.
know, and I'm wearing their leftover clothes.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
That's funny.
10.
10. That's awesome.
yeah.
Last question. Have you ever considered a stash?
A
Mustache.
stash. Oh. Actually, yes, I have. And now that I've seen yours, I can't compete. So it wouldn't serve me well.
Like I said, it's just for Halloween. I have this phrase: mullets and mustaches. They're only cool if you know they're not.
Or you look good in them like you.
Yeah,
you know?
whatever. All right. Thank you, sir. Thanks
Thank
everybody
you.
for
This has
listening.
been a
in.
pleasure.
Thank you.